16 teams, 2 regions, and every single one of them getting that one step closer to our Guns of Boom Go4 finals. My name is Ketchup and welcome to the ESL Guns of Boom Go4 finals for Europe and North America. I'm joined on the desk, as always, by Mustard. How's it going, man?
Not too bad, thanks. This is our second broadcast, and as you will see very soon, we have a lot of the same teams we saw 2 weeks ago, so it's nice to see consistency in this Guns of Boom Go4 adventure that we're undergoing together. But before we get too much into it, we do have a number of graphics to show you guys and girls at home as to what it is you're about to watch and what these teams are working together to try and get towards.
So the Guns of Boom competitive journey is quite an interesting one. There are weekly tournaments that take place on the left, as you can see, Go4 sign up. They do have a cash prize every week, but those weekly tournaments will all feed towards qualification points for you and your squad. The qualification points will also get you into the bi-weekly Go4 finals, which is what you guys are watching right now. And there's a nice little cash injection for that as well. $1,000 US or euros, depending on what territory you're coming from, 700 and then 400 for second and third respectively. But the big one, the elephant in the room, the EU Invitational and the NA Invitational as well, or also, you know, the Season 1 finals to kind of conclude this competitive journey, is where the big bucks is really going to come into play. So basically, every single week, there is something Guns of Boom related to play for, and the cash is nice, but the qualification points are really where it's at in this league.
The points are what are important, and we have a couple of leaderboards to show you. First things first is the Go4 leaderboard, where you will see this is basically for how they qualified for today's broadcast. So as you can see, a familiar name right off the bat, Knights of Honor #1 down there at third place, were our basically undisputed winners of the last show. So over the last 2 weeks, which is how long these points tables have taken to accrue together, they're not looking quite as dominant. It looks like back-to-back, and Yakuza have been able to really step it up and get ahead of them over the last couple of weeks. But this is just one leaderboard.
I think that's the interesting thing here, right? Whereas this is just to get into the stream, but this, the bracket you guys are just about to see, is pretty much the invitational standings. This is adding up the points from all of the weeks. And as you can see here, it is actually Knights of Honor 1 that are currently taking the crown. The top 3 teams through points will qualify for the European Invitational. At this point in time, that will be Knights of Honor 1, Yakuza, and Triada. The Triada team, worth mentioning, they have got 2 in this running. But with plenty of weeks left to go, this is always going to fluctuate, right? It's all about how these teams play week after week. You know, these Go4 bi-weekly finals, these will have a nice little chunk of change these guys can play for. But the big thing about these streams here is giving the teams the all-important experience that they're going to need if they qualify for that European invitation.
I think looking at those 2 leaderboards back to back, though, it shows that Knights of Honor #1 have been the most consistent from start to finish, but over the last 2 weeks is really when those other teams have stepped it up to really bring it to them. And considering by no means they locked into place, there is still plenty of time for those leaderboards to be flipped on their heads. That does give us time to go into our bracket for today, where we can see a lot of those teams you saw on those leaderboards are about to play each other for that nice chunk of cash for the Go4 bi-weekly finals, as well as that important competitive experience that they will no doubt need if they want to stay consistent and place well towards that invitational.
It's almost like they are the best teams in the European region or something. As we can see right here, we had 8 teams taking part in this cup today, and before the stream went live, obviously these guys were playing to decide the semi-finals. This is a single elimination bracket, which does mean that we're going to have a third place playoff, mostly because the cash difference is going to be, you know, extreme. So we have to decide which team is going to get cash, and then ultimately going into our grand finals at the end of the night. But to list the teams, we have back-to-back Triada, Knights of Honor 1, and Yakuza. I think Knights of Honor, for me, they're definitely the team that I think everyone's really going to be looking at, because there's no getting around the fact that on our last Go4 finals, it was Knights of Honor basically against themselves. They were the undisputed strongest team in this part of the world. And for the 2-week cups that take place, I think that was a nice little confidence boost for the rest of their teams. Obviously, in this case, there is only one team of Knights of Honor, but it is the team that did take the crown last time. So for you that are just joining us, anyone that may be watching the stream at this point, no matter whether it's Facebook, you know, Twitch or whatever, The Go4 series is a free-to-enter online series for Guns of Boom, and if you play this game with your friends or with the squad or clan that you have together, you may as well get signed up. You can follow the link down there at esl.im/boom sign up, and through these free-to-enter cups, who knows, maybe in 2 weeks we'll actually see you in our next bi-weekly final.
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? The fact that these cups, they are free to enter. It is obviously Guns of Boom. It's a free-to-download game, free-to-play game, and I'm assuming there's a number of people today watching that haven't really seen competitive Guns of Boom before. So this is going to be a nice opportunity to see what high-level gameplay looks like, or if anything, if you like what you see and you think that you can really bring it to the players that we see winning these games, get you and your squad together, get signing up, and we might see you next time. But back towards the game itself, let's talk a little bit about the format of today. So it's going to be the first team to win 2 maps against the other. It is going to be a predetermined rotation of maps from game to game. As you can see soon, we have the map rotation for this series is going to be starting off with Europe Street with some team deathmatch, going into Subway Station for a second map on King of the Hill. And if we do make it to a map 3 situation, if both teams win a map each, we're going to be finishing things up on Europe Square for Control Point.
Now, back-to-back versus Triada. I'm not sure if these guys are going to crucify me for mentioning their prefix, but with there being multiple versions of Triada taking part in these tournaments, I think it's worth mentioning they have a different division, right? Some of these clans,
they name it, that's what we say.
They have so many players. They have so much. Some of these clans, they have so many players within their ranks that obviously you can enter multiple teams under these ranks. So I think if you can kind of look at what we had last week, well, no, 2 weeks ago actually, in fact, when
it was already been 2 weeks.
It's kind of just snapped by.
Where has the time gone, man? Like, and in those time, obviously, there's been 2 additional cups for the Go4. So that's obviously more money. That's all more opportunities for to make it to this time. But the fact that it's already been 14 days, it's kind of spooky.
I think it's good if you're a player. There's a nice amount of money to play for even before you qualify for, the European Invitational, the Season 1 finals, just down the line, right, where you have all these different parts of the world that you can play. And so many of these players have gone from playing Guns of Boom, casually, just for fun. I mean, it's a mobile game, right? That's kind of what mobile gaming is always built around, just turning it on, having a few games, and just having a good time. But there kind of reaches a point where you basically play a game so much, you get a little bit more serious. I think everyone watching this stream right now can relate in some way to that, where you play a game and you enjoy it, and you want to learn more, you want to get better, you want to try and become, the creme de la creme, basically. But now these tournaments are taking place and there's lots of money to play for. If you're that kind of guy, or girl, whatever the case may be, you're in a great situation now to make a huge chunk of change for a game that you enjoy very much.
So while we wait for this first match to get up and running, thank you for your patience. It should be ready to go soon and shortly. Let's talk a little bit about the actual kind of gameplay we're expecting to see. So for example, the kind of game you'll get when you just load up the game and you just play it yourself, casually at home, on the bus, wherever you might be, is going to be a lot different to what we're about to see as you get into this first gameplay. Last time we saw a lot of grouping, a lot of teamwork, and a lot of the same kind of weapons really used. A lot of kind of Juggernaut, a lot of that kind of Barracuda or Thanatos, and we are going into this first game of back-to-back versus Triada. First match of the Go4 bi-weekly finals. Let's see who's going to be our winners today.
Now, as you mentioned it, we're already seeing Porcupines, we're already seeing Barracudas. These are the top of the top-tier weapons. And this level of play, when everyone has access to the same kind of weapons, they're going to be going for it. But talking about game plan, I think things are really going to change up. It depends entirely on whether you have the lead or not. If you have the point lead and you can afford to play defensive, then that means you can kind of really put the pressure on the other team. But right now, Triada currently with a small lead. As I say that, it might be swiftly undone. We're seeing some grouping coming up from back-to-back. Unfortunately, that's just going to be open season for Triada. And just like that, a massive chunk of points to take the lead.
Okay, so I think it's a good time to mention one thing absolutely we must not forget. All of the game modes in Guns of Boom, you win a game by accruing a total amount of points. You get those points for different reasons. On Capture Points or King of the Hill, it's when you control objectives. Across all of them together, kills are always important, especially in Team Deathmatch. But not only are kills how you build up the points, the kill streaks and the killing sprees you get will give you additional points as well as the base amount for the kill. So if you can have like run a bit of a tear and you get a nice, for example, a triple kill like Gonzo just got, look at how much points he has now in comparison to how much he had before.
It's funny you should mention it because the second Gonzo got that triple kill and then we saw a couple of kills on top of that. Back-to-back have just in the blink of an eye taken the lead. The ball is now going to be in Triada's court to try and take it back. They're going to trade it 1-for-1. A grenade and a Porcupine make that an assault rifle as well. But we're seeing a very much back and forth situation. But just like that, Triada, they have been able to take the lead for another time. We're reaching the halfway point of this map now, and we'll see if back-to-back can bring things back.
Well, we have plenty of time to do so. This is a lot more of a reserved game. Last broadcast, we did see teams kind of just running in together, piling in as a group, making sure to make the most of it. And that's a nice ambush there. Gonza getting a nice return kill back there. And actually, look, actually back to half and half again.
I feel like Europe Streets does lend itself quite nicely to ambush. You know, whether you're on the sidelines, whether you're in the middle, you can see the cover that's being taken here. Everyone's having to be super careful. Deadly, he's checking those corners, he's checking those locations. There could be someone waiting for him. Because if you get caught and surprised by either a knife or a porcupine, the damage output that is unreturned is almost a guaranteed kill if you don't catch it immediately. And just like that, Triada, they've been able to bring things back for another game. The triple kill, that's going to be bad news for back-to-back, as the point chunk is going to continue because of that triple kill alone.
Now, it looks like Triada, they're controlling the middle of the map really well. They're going towards the spawn. You can see Expert trying to ambush behind, but they haven't actually fallen for it.
Ooh, what a
managing to get out. Yep, there's a nice Juggernaut kill from a distance from Migs.
Excellent grenade, just to
Oh,
put
good
Deadly
headshot. That's a Thanatos kill too.
And we saw so little of that in our previous broadcast. It was almost Barracuda or bust. But I feel like with the sheer damage output of the Thanatos, you can't really turn your nose up at it.
Now, at this point, we're almost just trading kill for kill. But as soon as they're trading and Triada are in the lead, it is always going to be a trade in their favor as Expert manages to find that ambush from behind. And now only 100 points away. This is looking really good for Triada as Deadly finds himself another kill. But John Wick will take him down. That's not really a surprise.
But as you can see here, Triada, they've actually transformed their gameplay. Now they know they have just over a minute on the clock, and they have a comfortable lead. All they need to do is pick those angles, pick those locations. If anyone from back-to-back now goes around the corner and they give up that headshot, that's almost an instant kill. If they go around a corner, point blank into a porcupine and knife combo, that's also a guaranteed kill. But back-to-back have no choice. They have to try and press the advantage because they don't have the point lead.
Now, speaking of which, there's a minute left on the clock, but will that even be enough time to go? Is Triada only a couple of kills away from taking this first map? That's Private Andre. Gets himself one, headshot two, so that's be a nice little burst. They might be 1 or 2 kills away from finishing this one off.
Now, before we finish this up, actually, you know, we're going to be as first to 500, so this is almost a guaranteed
Literally
win.
1 point.
They just need to get anything worth a single point, and Triada will take this back to back. They have to be aggressive. Wait a second. They did manage to get 3 kills unreturned. Now they just have to be careful. Gonza, he doesn't have the health to survive. And unfortunately, what could have been an amazing comeback was just cut short by Gonza being too far out and had taken too much damage.
Well, that's just something you can't avoid. You have to be so careful when you are on the verge of making a really nice comeback like that, when you know it's 499 out of 500 to almost the same amount. You still can't overextend, right? Even though you're going to build momentum, you're going to kind of have that mental win that, you know, when a team is almost having a guaranteed win and it starts to slip from them, some players might crumble under that pressure because not a lot of players are used to playing in that kind of situation, right? Where you have that lead and it starts to slip away from you in a competitive setting, some players might begin to crumble down. However, you, at the same time, while making that comeback, you can't make those mistakes to still leave yourself in the open when you're still going to get taken down.
So while we load up into our next map, which I believe is going to be Subway Station King of the Hill, you guys are going to see a little bit more of a different game mode, which we're looking forward to. I actually quite like Subway. It's one of my favorite maps because, you know, the action is almost non-stop. And if it's fast-paced and it's action-packed, I want in. But basically, before we go into our next map, I want to bring attention, those that may have been a little bit more aware, I suppose, by the end of the map, the point distribution between everyone on Triada, it was so even. Everyone had at least 100 points. The difference between lowest player to, you know, highest performing player was extremely minimal, whereas if you go on back-to-back, they had some real star performers, but a couple of players actually will obviously check out the names, not to pin blame, but consistently, I feel like it was one extreme of the seesaw to the other when it comes to back-to-back. But Triada, it was pretty much even non-stop, which will always contribute. If every single person on the team and a TDM is pulling their weight, that team just became so dangerous. Look at that. 157 was the highest, and just over 100 was the smallest. That's not a big divide, is it?
No, absolutely not, especially in a game like this. And that was Team Deathmatch. So that's actually got, I don't want to say the lowest scope for teamwork, because I understand that obviously it is all still a team effort. But now we're moving in towards objective game modes, where that teamwork is even more important. Because now it's not just about be a good fragger, get loads of kills, try and be accurate and get headshots, try and, you know, get killing sprees and whatnot. Now it's about, okay, right, kills are still important, but we have to capture points now. We have to hold on to them. Now you're talking about positioning a bit more. You're talking about knowledge of enemy spawn points and where they're likely to come from. You know, when do you use your sniper rifles? When do you opt to go for, you know, other things, for example? As we can see that, you know, again, we're seeing a lot of the same weapons that we saw last time. And I think most notably, if anything, it's the Barracuda that really is being that kind of dominant weapon, because it is a tremendously powerful sniper rifle. But on Subway, maybe not quite as prominent.
I think that's actually a good observation because weapons are going to be, they kind of have variable uses depending on the map that you have selected. So in this situation, it's going to be much more close quarters. We're going to see more of the assault rifle. We're going to see a lot more of the shotgun. Shotgun and grenade combined. We're going to see the grenade going in to try and get that early established damage. AoE is just going to be much better because you can hit more people at once. But this is where the up close and personal will come for. We saw Privet just manage to get a Barracuda kill, and it has put back-to-back actually in particular. They have a nice amount of points. This could be a 2-1.
That's what happens, right? If you're able to get the point so quickly and then get multi-kills, it's just going to quickly get away. There's a headshot coming through, but there's no way John Wick could be able to survive that grenade, as Deadly is ready to keep that one. But Triada managing to do a good job to bring it back, and just like that, back-to-back, had like a 150-point lead, and it's already disappeared.
Actually, I believe, looking at the graphics, it's probably the names might be swapped around. So obviously we can see Triada on the red, which was very similar to the last map.
Oh, of course.
Sorry, guys, but I think we're good. Either way, on that subject, actually, it's now, as you can see here, back-to-back that we're able to take the lead in that small exchange, which is very, very classic, I think, of King of the Hill. In these situations where it's not really about holding the point in King of the Hill in particular, as much as it is just if you still maintain the pressure and you can establish good group fights, you can give up minimal kills, because the kills and the combo kills and the grenades and headshots, they all add a nice chunk of points. Even if you don't have the lead of the point itself, the kills themselves will add up. But on that note, Triada in the lead for how long? Depends on how this group fight's going to go down.
But there's another headshot, but that's going to be a returned kill. Back-to-back, he could be winning that group fight as they now find themselves sieging towards the objective. But Gonza very low, but he does have his teams to take him, to try and keep him alive. They aren't able to. They are able to at least get the revenge kill and control the point themselves. Now, things looking a bit better for back-to-back as John Wick getting another kill off spawn.
Now, when these things are super close, I think that's where holding the point starts to matter. It was holding the point alone that put back-to-back in the lead, and it's now the pressure they've been able to establish off that control that has let them keep the lead. Gonza manages to take another. And King of the Hill, you thought Team Deathmatch was fast. How about a well-dominantly played King of the Hill? This could be on the verge of being finished already. And back-to-back might be able to climb the lead once more.
Now, they might be able to win on this one, depending on how they can siege this back from Triada. Because if Triada are able to keep this roll going, well, no, Deadly's getting very close, and he's going to get taken down immediately. But Expert getting a nice headshot from the side, but now Mig sieging towards the objective again, gets another kill. I don't think Triada played that one properly.
Now, at this stage of the game, if we see a multi-kill come through, if someone gets a double or a triple, this could be a chunk of points that will put them into not even the lead, winning the game at this point. It can be roughly 100 points sometimes, depending on how good your combo's going to be. And in this situation, back-to-back, they have to win this group fight, but look at how close it is, Mustard.
I know, this could go either way at this point. Deadly gets that long-range kill. That might have been a game-turning fight.
No, he's so weak! I don't know why he ran in there. He was so weak. A grenade was such a likely situation. But is it enough? Is it enough?
Chased.
Oh, at the last second, we see it come through. I was super worried when I saw that grenade go off, because I was like, in the situation when you're in the middle of the map, grenades are so unbelievably, almost not likely, they're guaranteed. In this level of play, when everyone's got grenades and everyone's piling into the middle point, you have to expect that kind of situation, and that one frag was almost curtains, but well played.
I think it's a question of the fact that grenades are obviously the only real way of doing area damage in this game. It's not like the weapons have explosives, there's no grenade launchers and stuff like that in competitive mode. It's very much just grenades are your means of doing area damage. So on objective modes, especially King of the Hill, where it's just the 1 point, you get 2 grenades alive, and as I'm sure you saw there are deaths aplenty in this game. You do not stay alive for long if you're effectively playing as a group. So 2 grenades alive, you'll get a lot of lives because you'll be dying a lot, typically speaking, based on what we've seen. So you are going to have to deal with grenades. You have to be ready for them all the time. However, there's only so many ways to keep yourself alive at the same time, because you only get a finite amount of health regeneration per life. So it's kind of like a toss-up of how much do you kind of favor on using health items versus how much do you invest in grenades? Because you can't just not go for the point, but at the same time, you can't obviously run into that kind of damage.
That's a hype replay right there. Back to us swiftly, but it's going to be 1-1, which is actually very, very different to what we've seen a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty much 2 zeros galore. It was very much, these are the dominant teams, these are the guys to beat, and a lot of teams were just kind of just breezing their way into grand finals. I'm actually happy to see that in the space of 2 weeks, where teams have been able to step up their game even more than before, close games is showing a sign of improvement on both sides. You know, I think players are getting more hungry. They're getting more eager. We are ramping up. I don't want to say very, very shortly, because obviously we have a bunch of these to go. But as we lead up to the later stages of this entire league, the European Invitational, that's currently what these players are gearing towards. If they're now on stream and they're playing for cash, we're sitting right here talking about these players. You guys are watching them on stream. It's important that they can get all this experience, and they're taking it and doing well.
But I think it's a question of, so it's been 2 weeks since the last broadcast, and I like the talking point of, a change on how the gameplay has kind of evolved from then to now. 2 weeks in reality is not really a long time, but 2 weeks to a competitive level player that is playing at the highest level is absolutely enough time to make a big difference in terms of, if you've got a player on a team that's playing the game like 5-6 hours a day, sometimes more, 5-6 days a week, because they want to be the best at that game. 2 weeks of that kind of time, of that kind of grind, is more than enough to make that kind of gameplay difference. So just imagine what it's going to look like in 2 weeks from now.
I feel like we actually say this so many times. For those of you guys that don't know, Mustard and I, we have so much experience in multiple different genres at this point of game, and this is something we talk about all the time, which is when a game competitively is quite new, we always talk about how, from a casual perspective, 2 weeks is no time, but to competitive, it's a lifetime, right? It's all the time you need to reach a level of play that is far beyond anyone else. You'd be surprised how many times we actually talk about this. This is a conversation we go through over and over again.
Competitive gaming fundamentals, man. I'm sure anyone that watches, multiple games is kind of familiar with it, right? Some players just have that game sense. They have that kind of like X factor to them when they just understand, they just click with how the game works. And I think this will be no different, as you can see the players that really understand not only how to aim and how to use the weapons, but also the mechanics, how to play around that, how to play around the opponent, really get in the mindset.
So we're going back to Europe for our final game mode in this 2 out of 3, which is going to be control points. Obviously, for those that don't know, 3 points on the map, and every single time you hold a point, you're going to get more points towards your team. There is a little bit more of an extra requirement. It's not going to be quite 1,000 to win anymore, so these guys might get a little bit of extra time. Whether they'll need it is another story.
Increasingly back-to-back already, controlling one of the points, it seems. Yep, I like the way Migs is opting to kind of just leave Gonza to capture that one, but he is getting sieged. There's a grenade, but isn't going to connect.
A lot of faith in him to win that 1v1, which unfortunately was unable to take that 1 versus 1. Very much is unfortunate.
Actually, Private Andre trying to get that fight too. He hasn't enough health, but oh, the porcupine. Never underestimate the damage. Full health and full armor is not enough to save you from that kind of situation, as Migs is able to return the favor. And now it looks like back-to-back have, I think, 2 of the 3, for now at least.
Well, that said, the second everyone goes down, you can really kind of split your resources. Some of these guys, they're trying to really maintain back-to-back, trying to control B, the center of the map. You have a lot of control over spawns if you hold the center of a map. You can have all these different angles people can come out and try and take the points themselves. But if you can take the middle point and hold those angles, before they even get within an effective range, you can damage them quite significantly first. Back-to-back, they're looking really good. Triada, they had a dominant team deathmatch. They did kind of run away with the lead, but right now it looks like back-to-back are the ones that are in control.
I think it's really interesting to how they're playing the map as well. Obviously, there's 3 points, and teams definitely seem to be a case of, do you hold 2 of them and kind of just hold the majority, or do you try and go for that complete dominance of all 3? It looks like back-to-back are very much favoring just let's control the center point, let's control the one near our spawn, and that is enough for them to keep this stable lead, and even more so.
You can actually see Deadly sneaking up behind. He may even get an unchecked kill right there. But one thing to actually mention here is that consistently back-to-back, they're not putting themselves in a 1v2. There rarely is someone alone. They're trying to sort of stay grouped there. Privet manages to take that kill. Actually, no, Expert in the back lines with that sniper rifle. This could be where they could try and establish a comeback. Look at the top right. Triada are taking a nice, comfortable amount of kills, but I feel like because back-to-back are returning it here and there, they have such a lead, it's a comfortable trade to take. Back-to-back on the verge of moving on in this bracket.
Now they have to just keep it going, though. We know 200 points is a lot, especially at this point in the game, but it really is going to be relying on Triada to really have that star moment to really get that kill streak going, but it's just not really working out that way for them.
Wins the 1v1, and as we go, we're kind of hitting that 2-minute mark as well. and Triada, they're actually able to take so many of these kills, but because they don't have control, over the map, the kills are only doing so much. It's so different to King of the Hill, where 1 point is here or there, but in control points, you've got to have control over this map, otherwise you're in big trouble.
Going to their back-to-back, they've passed the 1,000 point mark, so they can see the end, but at the same time, Triada are quite rapidly closing the distance as another couple of kills comes through, but Killing Machine able to take out Deadly before he can really start to get going.
They're piling in. They're going to win this 3v1. Actually, no, it's a 2v1. Oh, come on, don't trade it in. No, Migs! He takes the kill! That is unfortunate. That was a 3v1 turned into a 2v1, and he still survives near the end. And I feel like this might be all she wrote, Mustard.
Yep, there could be 1,200 there. They're any second now going to cross that threshold.
Game over.
I think that's it. There we go. That is what happens when you control that many points for that long. And I think that really is the kind of the difference in the game modes, right? You have to play them so differently to each other. Team Deathmatch, it's all about the kill, it's all about the accuracy. King of the Hill, it's all about just being able to control one objective as a team. But when you start throwing on 3 points, there's so much more to it. I would go as far as say that Capture seems to be one of the most important game modes to just make sure that you are playing it properly as a team. You can't just run around and capture as you go.
I mean, all you guys really had to do was just look at the kill feed on the top right. So consistently with Triada winning a group fight situation, they were by far taking the majority of the kills. They had the better combat skill, it felt, but they didn't have the control. And in control points, obviously no pun intended, it's so important that you control more points than the other team, because you can't turn your nose up at the climb. We made this remark during King of the Hill that even if you don't hold the hill in King of the Hill, you can still outfrag the team and win through that. And it's, we almost saw elements of that on Subway, but in Control Point, it is nowhere near the same thing, because back to back, they just played the map better. That's as simple as that, and that is why these guys are going to be moving on in this bracket and feeling very good about themselves.
No, and huge congratulations to them. That has now guaranteed them in the money, as now they're going to be going through towards grand final, so minimum second place they should be getting today. So they're going to be guaranteed at least a little bit of money, second place or first, depending on how well they do. So congratulations to them. Obviously, we'll be having a third place match as well, so it will not be the last time we see any team that loses in the semis today. So we'll be seeing that playoff shortly, but we do have a second semi-final to get underway first.
For the first time in our European Go4 final, it's going to be 2 different teams under different banners in our grand final. So it's going to be quite nice to see the one undisputed team for the first time. We're all very, very excited. But as you mentioned, this was just the first semi-final, and we do have our second one good to go. We're going to go for a quick break while we set up that next match. Don't go anywhere, because the ESL Guns of Boom Go4 finals will be back after a short break. Welcome back, everybody. This is the ESL Guns of Boom Go4 final for Europe. We had our first semi-final, of which back-to-back, and now going to be waiting in the grand finals of this bi-weekly Go4 final. Now we have our second semi-final good to go. It's going to be between Knights of Honor #1 versus Yakuza. Now it's Knights of Honor #1 because they have got two divisions or two teams that they have taken part in previous cups, but this time it's only going to be the first team, I suppose, or #1 that have made it through. Not a huge issue for these guys because they were able to take it 2 weeks ago in our last Go4 final. The question's going to be, can they take out back-to-back and get a, no pun intended, back-to-back grand final win, Mustard?
I don't know, but I guess we'll find out soon, and in not too short fashion at all. Now, this really is a kind of question of how much can you win, right? How highly can you place? Because whoever loses this is going to be in that third place playoff, so obviously you're going to be getting, it's basically a match for can you get some prize money today. But if Knights of Honor can win this and win 2 cups back-to-back, if they then win grand finals, I mean, if anything, how much momentum could you possibly need? You know, how much kind of, you know, a statement could you make to say that not only are we the #1 team going into potentially, you know, the Katowice Invitational, we're also the best on broadcast too. When, you know, the chips are down and the pressure is on, that is when we play the best. And being able to do that for 2 shows in a row would be very impressive. However, if Yakuza can take them off that pedestal and do it themselves, that could be equally as impressive.
We've seen already how teams have stepped it up. You know, in the short 2 weeks that we've had in between our Go4 finals, that teams are starting to come bigger and better, and they're starting to play so much more ferociously. But we're going to be kicking things off with Team Deathmatch for another time. Knights of Honor, though, 2 weeks ago, they were able to take the crown, and they did it in dominant fashion. So if they can do it just as strongly, of which, looking at the kill difference, might repeat history. That said, Yakuza, they can step up the plate, and they've got just over 4 minutes to get the job done.
Now, I remember distinctly that Knights...
Oh, trade.
Actually, a pretty good trade, considering he was so low. Now, one thing I distinctly remember about Knights of Honor 1 were they have some of the strongest sniper players, I think, that we'd seen in that entire day of competitive showcasing. And I do believe T-Mac was a big part of that. So I'm curious to see whether he can keep that consistency up and perform well, considering he had such an amazing showing last time. I guess he can get that 1v1, but the fire damage will take him out.
We did notice right there, though, the difference in ranges. You know, the Porcupine, if it's point blank, will be some of the absolute highest damage in the entire game. But even a few steps away, and it took about 3 to 4 shots to finish them off. You know, the fight took a very long time to end. I think that's why you have to be so wary of the ranges. You know, it's going to be sniper rifles from range, assault rifles kind of within that medium range if need be. And we just saw right there, T-Mac ask, and you shall receive. That's why weapon types at different ranges are so important to micromanage. Romeo managed to take out 1, but he might go down. No, takes out 2. A nice little double, which is going to give them a nice little burst of points, but it's not enough. Knights of Honor still in the lead.
Johnny scouts out the ambush attempt. He's going to be taking some damage, though, trying to heal up through it, but he's getting chased. Oh, and that's going to be an easy kill as he finds himself near Yakuza's spawn point. That's going to be a taken down.
Not a super dominant win so far.
Yeah, very even space so far compared to... I mean, actually, we'll be saying that a lot today compared to last time. The first broadcast was basically 2-0, 2-0, 2-0.
And it wasn't even just 2 zeros, it was dominant maps too. The point difference was almost like completely uncomparable. Not the case this time. But that said,
it's close, but they're still winning, right? Like, it's the same result, it's just not quite as dominant. And the important thing is the win. You know, as long as they eventually get that W, that's what they're going to be looking for. And T-Mac finds himself getting another kill. Now, one thing we're seeing a lot today is that kind of like 2-piece combo, right? That Porcupine into melee damage. Melee doing so much if you can get it immediately after a shotgun blast, and the Porcupine doing as much as it does, it's almost like a guaranteed kill, really, to a lot of the characters.
Well, it's the strength of the quick switch as well. You know, the techniques these players use where they kind of have their weapon order set beforehand. So if they have to swap between Porcupine and Assault Rifle, we can just double tap the screen and not really have to worry about manual selection, which can waste precious seconds.
I mean, but that's the thing, right? It's all about speed. Even though you can manually change weapons by, hitting the menu and finding the one you want, being able to double tap the screen to get, your previous weapon is infinitely more preferred because the speed is better for the time. And if you're fighting, you need to swap from a shotgun to a sniper rifle or a shotgun to an assault rifle. Just having that loaded out to do so in a split second, so much easier.
Half a second wasted is half a second you could have got a kill. That's the fact of the matter. A little bit of damage return. You can see the damage numbers, so he's going to know there were 2 targets there, coordinating against the rest of the team, of which Jaeger cleans house.
I see Jaeger looking around with the Barracuda. Trying to find someone to shoot down. Isn't able to find it as Magat is below him. Oh, he drops down behind. That's going to be an easy kill for T-Mac as he comes down from the side too. And there we go. It is Jani getting a Juggernaut kill from a distance as well, making the most of that damage boost. But T-Mac finds himself between a bit of a rock and a hard place.
That was minimal damage done on XL. Not even half of his armor has been taken down, and the armor value is also very, very important. But that said, I feel like Yakuza, they've been able to bring it back a little bit, but I think it's too little too late. 18, not even that, 4 is going to put Knights of Honor up 1 map. And I mean, they were dominant for a reason, right? And they managed to take that first map. It wasn't complete destruction. I think that's one thing to take away. It was not destruction like it was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. But like we said before, and I'll say it again, the important thing isn't how you won, it's the win. I mean, obviously, you're like, we're going to understand that if you can win dominantly, it's more of a message to send, but still moving on in the bracket, that's the important thing, right? That's ultimately what we want to go for. But that does mean that Knights of Honor are already going to be going up with a 1-map advantage in this series. Now, we did see ourselves go to a map 3 before. Maybe not this time, as we are going to Subway Station again for a second time today, as this is still a semi-final match, as that's how the map rotation works. The predetermined rounds of the tournament have their map rotation, so the players are playing on the same maps at the same point in the tournament for that consistency.
But what we have seen is the difference of an impact the map, the modes themselves bring to the table. Team Deathmatch, you can be amazing in Team Deathmatch, but if you're not very good in the control modes, which are the other 2 modes, it's Control Point and King of the Hill. If you're great at fragging, that's great, but there needs to be more to the table if you're going to be a top-level team. So, we saw Team Deathmatch go to Triada first, but it wasn't enough to get the win ultimately. Looking at first maps, you would have actually favored Triada before, but it's now back-to-back that are waiting in the finals. So, never say never. That said, we are dealing with Knights of Honor, who were the best team in our last
And
finals.
they are still number 1 in the leaderboards, getting towards that Katowice Invitational, and we know they're going to want to keep that momentum going. Question is, can they do so by winning our second map, which is going to be Subway Station? So we return to King of the Hill. Again, we can see the Knights of Honor really making the most of that Barracuda plays, the long distance, the immense damage output, and we know they have some of the strongest players in the business on it. So do you reckon we're going to see a 2-0, or we can go back to a map 3?
I'm going to make a prediction, and I do think it's going to be Knights of Honor with a 2-0. I think, for them to be this late in the tournament, they've already won a match or a series to be in the top 4 alone. So that everyone here has tasted victory before. This is not their first games of the day. Just to remind you guys watching, we did semi-finals, but 8 teams qualified for this, and you can see them in the bracket before. Knights of Honor have an early lead, but how many early leads have we seen previously? Early control can be disaster for the losing team.
But a huge point of that, though, look at Jaeger's points. He got 63 already in that first team fight, which has put them, to be honest, over 100 points in the lead instantly. Just showing the importance of getting those multi-kills and having those amazing sprees. But you do have to keep alive with it at the same time, as Conor McGregor manages to get that kill with the Odin, but gets taken down immediately by XLNC.
The thing is about these early situations is that...
That was unnecessary, wasn't it? He had a pumpkin by now, but just insisted on getting the grenade kill.
But what I've noticed as well is that these early wins or these early group fights, if you get the trade situation, as long as you're weak and 1 shot from death, the damage output of the weapons these players take is so high. Surviving a fight, it doesn't really benefit your team. You have to get those combos. That double we just saw, that's what's going to help these guys out.
Okay, now it looks like Knights of Honor have quite a stable lead now as Yakuza. They control the point. The question is, can they do anything with it? Oh no, trading out kill for kill. Medjai is trying to hold on, but he's getting ambushed by Dobar, but he scouts out, but no! Does not have eyes everywhere. As he gets taken out from behind again. Knights of Honor now, they have control of the point once more.
And this is the control we're seeing. It's not sitting on the point, it's sitting just slightly extended. So when the other team respawns, you can do some free damage before they even get within the point. Even if you go down before they reach the point and they're hurt, you can respawn with basically a fresh stack and just finish them off and re-establish that control and just repeat the cycle. Map positioning is so important.
Okay, but now it looks like Yakuza are starting to kind of stabilize this one themselves as they're managing to win these fights, but Jaeger comes running in with a porcupine of his own. That grenade wasn't actually going to connect to anything. I think Jaeger knows he's quite low on health at this point. It's going to take it out straight away. As now Yakuza, they were controlling, but they did just lose a team fight. XLNC comes in again, trying to win it. A headshot coming through, though.
The fights are going in Knights of Honor's favor. That's the thing to take away from this one. They've just won the last 2 group fights. I wonder if that's going to be what's going to skyrocket them. Lord Man was not looking. Completely blindsided. That's not good.
No, indeed it won't, but now Knights of Honor, they have 3 people here to To be fair though, Jaeger's quite low. Does he have enough health items? He's not regenerating and maybe he's ran out for this life. Now, every second they waste now, every second that Yakuza isn't in control is going to be struggling for them, because now they find themselves this far and this close to the end. A couple 100 points down. Oh no, I think it's going from bad to worse. I don't know if they can bring it back at this point.
I feel
now,
like so many of these group fights have actually resulted in double kills. The little chunk of points you get extra is all they need. And with a clean
end.
1,000, no more, no less. It's going to be Knights of Honor moving on in this bracket, and to be honest with you, it didn't surprise me. I think Yakuza, they looked stronger than we did see them last time, but that said, Knights of Honor, they're the champs for a reason currently, reigning champions of the European side, but will they have almost a run for their money in the upcoming grand finals? That's what I wonder. I
mean, we'll see soon, as now they are only one series away from getting that 2-peat and getting both streamed finals in their favor. And going into the Katowice Invitational, if they can keep that up, and I think at this point they're quite a favorite to make it, and there's obviously still the time for that top 3 points kind of placement to really kind of be tipped on its head. If they can keep this going, I would say they're a clean favorite to make it through, but there is a team in their way to stop that from happening. I guess the question is, will we see it or not?
Well, as you asked that question, we're not going to quite move into the grand finals yet, because it's a single elimination bracket. For those unaware, basically it's you lose and you're out. Sometimes there's a double elimination bracket which gives you 2 chances. Depends on the game, depends on the genre, all that good stuff. But here, if you lose a series, you are out of the tournament. But with that, the top 3 being so significant with the payout of the Go4 finals, we have to decide what the top 3 teams are going to be. The only way to do that is a 3rd place playoff. So it's going to be Yakuza versus Triada. These guys will go head-to-head to find out who's going to get the 3rd place chunk of change. And while we prepare that match, we will be going into a break very, very soon. I've been just told right now we have got the brackets to show you guys. So as you can see right here, it was a 2-1 for back-to-back and Triada. So you can definitely say that Knights of Honor had an easier time getting into the grand finals. But your path can only mean one thing. It's how you play when the chip's down and it's time to play then and now. That's what matters for Knights of Honor.
And it also means that they are actually yet to lose a map. So we know that they, at the very least, are going in with that.
Now, if they can win this entire tournament without losing a map, it would actually be different to what we saw in the previous finals as well. The final grand final result there was 3-1 last time we did this. So if it's able to be a complete clean sweep, then, I mean, we talk about progression. How about progression for what could be champions? That's going to be a pretty unbelievable result. But we are going to go now for a quick break and set up our 3rd place playoff. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. This is the ESL Guns of Boom Go4 Finals, and we're going into our third place playoff. It's going to be between Triada and Yakuza. We're going into a best-of-5 territory, so instead of being the first to win 2 maps, it's going to be the first to win 3. We have a new rotation, new maps, and new game modes to show you guys. You can see right here, we're going to start off with Farming Complex, then it's going to be Warehouse for TDM, Paradise Island for King of the Hill, and if it's not a 3-0, we're moving on into Skyscrapers for Team Deathmatch, and if it comes to our final map, it will be King of the Hill for the Wild West as well. So between these two teams and what we've seen today, who do you personally like a little bit more?
So what I think is an important thing to mention, for sure, before we get underway, though, is to remind you folks watching at home about the Invitational, the EU Invitational that the players themselves are going toward. Now, the weekly cups earn teams points. Those points go towards a leaderboard, and we can show you the graphic now of what teams are currently in the standings to get one of those points, one of those 3 qualification points from this leaderboard. We have quite a few familiar teams, quite a few familiar faces, one of which obviously is Knights of Honor, who we are seeing waiting in grand finals today. But that is what it's all about. So if you're a aspiring team looking to qualify, get in on those weekly cups, those weekly tournaments, and we might see you at the Katowice Invitational.
I think you can sign up using our link, esl.im/boom sign up, and there is still plenty of time to get your squad together and try and really be within a chance, not only appearing on these broadcasts here, which we do every single 2 weeks, but the all-important finals. Now, that's really what these teams are playing towards. The chance to play on stream right now is nice, and the chance to play for the cash, of which there's a nice chunk of change, you know, 1,000 going towards the winning team. It's definitely not bad once every 2 weeks, but when it comes to the Invitational, that's where things really matter. That's where, you know, the supreme champion of Europe is going to be crowned, and every single one of these teams wants to have that accolade.
I think supreme champion of Europe might be the greatest accolade I've ever
I kind of made that up on the fly as well. That's pretty cool, wasn't it?
The supreme champion of Europe. I love it. It works so well. Now, okay, so we're going into Farming Complex as our first map. Now, one thing we have to remember for sure is this is the only map in this 5-map rotation that is control point. So if you're good or, you know, relatively weak on this mode, or just generally speaking, you have to immediately get used to it, right? Because control is one of the more complicated modes in comparison, you know, perhaps the more simple TDM, and there's obviously a very specific map for control. So you haven't got a long time at all to really get used to it, and then that's it. Once control is finished on Farming Complex, you're not playing it again for the rotation, so you have to make it count now.
Exactly. You know, Triada, they had a really early burst of points, but as you can see, you know, that can be undone depending on how much control you can really hold. We had this conversation earlier about King of the Hill, where even if you're not holding the point, as long as you're getting the, you know, the combo kills in check, you can still win. It's nowhere near the same in this game mode. You've got to make sure that holding control over the map is important. And it looks like right now, I feel like Triada are just doing a little bit of a better job.
Yeah, they're definitely in the driver's seat for now, but there's still plenty of map left to go, but perhaps not. Grabowczyk, I'm going to say that right in the end.
I struggled with that.
It will become second nature eventually, don't you worry. But he is doing really well for himself so far. Now he's trying to siege that middle point.
Point B is under attack.
Was able to take a kill on his way through. He's going straight past B. He knows. Oh, I love that decision. He could have gone for B there, but he knew that his team was going for it, so he just went straight to C instead. And now he's able to control C and give his team a nice boost, as they are now 700 to 400. That is quite a commanding lead.
I feel like every time we watch these guys play, Deadly is consistently playing really well. You know, whenever we had like, what, 1 bad game, I think, last time we did our Go4 final, and whenever you watch him play today, he's just been doing so well. You know, these star players really start to shine. But again, looking at the point difference, Triada, they're spreading the workload evenly. They did this in the semi-final. I know they weren't able to quite take the crown, but it feels like there is no one player that just rises above everyone else. They're not afraid to really split that workload and do a good job themselves.
Oh, absolutely. But that's what you're supposed to do, especially in these modes. There's a killing spree coming through from Lord Man, but he's going to get taken out, and the combo breaker comes through, giving him another return amount of points for Expert. It's going to be good for them. As long as the Expert has kind of taken the reins on lead points, but still closely held by Deadly.
With a name like Expert, you'd expect him to be pretty good.
I mean, yeah, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
Oh, the ambush!
Be controlling towards B. Killing spree. Oh boy.
And just like that, straight into top performer. And the points injection of that combo is going to be more than sufficient. Triada in a fantastic position now, just short of 100 points left to go. And these guys are going to take that first map. And I will say very
I mean, there's less than 100 points, right? Yakuza have 400 to get. Triada have less than 100. I don't see there being a way they can bring this back.
And they have control too. They have control over these points. Yakuza, they have to pile in, they have to try and take the control points and really stop that lead from climbing. But with 10 points left to go, I think, yep, absolutely impossible. And it's going to be that one final sniper kill, kind of really putting the nail in the coffin for that one. But it's like you said, this is the only time in this rotation we actually see control points played. So if this is by far, you know, it could be maybe their best mode in this matchup in particular, it's only one map. They're not going to have a chance to play it again.
Yeah, of course. But on the flip side, if you consider control your strongest, and then you get out of the way and say, yeah, cool, but now let's see. You know, we're going back to what I believe the second map is the military warehouse?
Yeah, it's the warehouse. It'll be TDM.
So warehouse is quite an interesting one, I think, in terms of maps, because we've seen some teams that seem to really thrive on TDM, seem to be really good on this map specifically, but it's so... In my opinion, this map seems to be heavily favored towards strong sniper players. You know, and the Barracuda by itself seems to be by far the most popular sniper rifle. I know it was kind of a toss-up between Thanatos or Barracuda, but really, now it's been a while since the Treo tournament, people have had time to get their hands on this weapon, see that, you know, the headshot bonus that it gives you that ammo back is so important in TDM, you know, because your guns don't have a huge amount of ammo in them when you spawn. You only have like a couple of magazines worth of bullets, and then here comes the Barracuda, which really enables you to get those kill streaks, those nice points to ramp up. But on a map like Military Warehouse, where there aren't a huge amount of opportunities to kind of elevate and change where you're standing. There's a couple of ramps either side, but generally speaking, the map is very flat. So it's quite easy to get those headshots. And there's a lot of long sight lines, a lot of corridors, which really favor that kind of game style. But we can see that it looks like Yakuza, or I should say, yeah, Yakuza went off that almost like two pairing. Triada ran straight in as a full four. An interesting start with two slightly different strategies.
Yeah, going for the sort of two-team attack can work, especially if, you know, one team kind of keeps the attention, the other can come up behind, and if you have that good accuracy in those distance-based weapons, you can really get some good surprises. That said, I love the ability there to just, once they had a fight that didn't go in their favor, they really kind of just pulled back, and they weren't afraid to lay the ambush, and the ambush has allowed them to tighten the knot. It's now going to be completely even in points. Even now, barely anything separates these two teams. But it looks like Triada have the control, and they're now trying to hold those angles. You know, you don't want to push too hard. It can be so easy in these situations to, I think, push too heavy. You become a slave to that spawn protection, don't you?
I believe so. I mean, I think that's why we see a huge amount of. I think that's why we see a huge amount of the kind of the fighting taking place in the middle of the map, because there's no point pushing any further. Because you don't want to almost like walk into that invincibility.
It's actually one of those beginner mistakes, I feel, is that you can, you know, push too hard and you're pretty much, you know, super vulnerable to it. I like the control though. They're trying to be super patient. At this level of play, you've got to be careful, right? You don't want to push too far in. Giving up those frags unnecessarily when it's this even, you know, one kill. If it goes down to a super close map and it's one kill difference, that one time you push too hard might be what lost your team the game.
But now, speaking of pushing, now is the time that Triada decide to go out. They were kind of sitting behind near their kind of spawn half of the map. They're going to go through as they are. Are they getting better of this trade? Looks like they are. They're going to be getting a couple of kills themselves.
So many of those grenades. Not a bad call. In the middle of that building, it kind of provides a nice amount of cover, but there's not much room to actually evade explosives. So you've got to be super careful going in there. 1 for 1 for another time.
And it looks like Medjay almost missed that kill as well. That was pretty much guaranteed, but he missed a couple of crucial shots, but was still able to get it. So nothing too lost at the moment. As oh, that was a really good sequence for Yakuza.
That's the thing about the Porcupine, isn't it? Is that it can do so much damage, but if your accuracy is not on point and you miss one shot, that one shot you miss will completely take you out.
Okay, well, there's another headshot. This is a much more evenly paced match as they're practically neck and neck as we go into basically the halfway point of the match. Now, what can we do from here? This has been a lot more slow paced, to be honest, than a lot of the TDMs that we've seen. Looks like neither team was really able to get the ball rolling. Oh no, and Medjay tries to follow around, but misses a crucial shot and dies for it. Big mistake, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Megat manages to get 2, which is going to be excellent news for him, bringing them back into the fight. Barely anything separates these two teams now. Completely even.
Wow, you do not see this every day for sure. But this comes back to TDM, right? Two teams, teams that have gotten this far in the tournament, they're going to be good at getting those frags. They're going to be accurate. So TDM is where, in my opinion, you're going to see the closest games, because that's where it just comes down to combat skill and ability. Expert tries to go around, doesn't want to chase too hard. I like that choice. He could have been greedy and chased the kill, but you have to wait for his teammates, and now he's going to go in, and he's going to get the kill on Medjay.
Wonderful call right there to go towards the right, almost like a 50-50. Which side's he going to go? He bets his chips, and he's right on that bet, popping the health just to undo the work, and he's now straight back up to full health. He's going to be super vulnerable to those headshots though, which is why he's swapping to a ranged weapon of his own. He's got to be super careful. Do not extend too much. The grenade, bad grenade. Unfortunately, it's going to go inside the building rather than outside. Could have been damaging two people at once.
And just like that, Triada, they were in the lead, but Yakuza get a full team wipe, and now they themselves are very close to winning this map.
I don't like that positioning from Romeo. I thought he had no support around that corner. There was no way they weren't going to cluster together. But is that enough? It is indeed going to be enough, and they've managed to bring things back. The second Romeo was positioned by the spawn, I was super worried, because he, at that location, with obviously, you know, we have the Master of Hindsight having the Spectator and they don't, but the second we saw two people come around the corner, there was no way Romeo was going to survive that fight, and then it would have been a 4 versus 3. And TDM, 4 versus 3 is not good news.
But maybe that's where he's going to make the read, though, because, you know, we can see that the entire enemy team is coming around the corner and going to collapse in on him, but maybe he thought, right, if one of them comes around here, you know, because something we do see teams do, right? They sometimes group together, they sometimes pair off, but sometimes we'll see one player kind of sneak around to the other side while the 3 of his teammates go somewhere else. So maybe Romeo made that read. Maybe he was like, okay, there's going to be one around this corner, I'm going to take him out, ambush him, get the 1v1, and then I'm going to kind of circle around and collapse in on him. But it didn't quite work out that way.
Well, these guys only have a little bit of time to think about it. That's the thing about Guns of Boom, right? The maps actually are so fast, and the gap in between when we kind of go from one map to another, there's actually not a lot of time for these teams to kind of recover and realize what they did wrong. So, you know, we kind of mix up the game modes a little bit. We're going to be going into Paradise Island as our next map.
King of the thrill.
You know, you were going to wait for that at any point. You were like, the second
I didn't wait. I just shoehorned it right in there.
It's just not even like a pun. There wasn't even an opportunity. You just went, that sounds
Why
cool.
waste an amazing moment like that?
Thrill House. But anyway, on the Paradise Island, actually, this map's always really interesting to me because it's not even about holding the point on this map. It's about pushing out so aggressively into the other side. You can keep a team pretty much in the spawn. If you have a really nice amount of spawn control, it's so hard to climb back from, but it's not easy to establish. You know, it's not easy to establish as that aggressing team. There needs to be a lot of communication. If you're too far, it kind of goes back to what we discussed previously, where if you push too heavily inside their spawn, obviously you've got spawn protection, and if they have spawn protection, it's just guaranteed damage. So if you're too aggressive, you basically accomplish nothing. But if you're within that kind of magic range, where the second it disappears, you're fine.
It does mean that we are at a bit of a turning point, though, where we can see that this is going to be a question of, because now we're obviously going to first to 3 maps, considering this is obviously for the money, so this and the grand finals are both going to be first to 3, best of 5 situations. We had Triada win the objective mode at first, and then we saw Yakuza win the team deathmatch. There is potentially one of each left to go, right? So we're about to go into King of the Hill. Do you reckon we're going to see Triada have? Because when they won, they basically won the objective mode a lot more dominantly than Yakuza won the team deathmatch. So clearly they seem to be a little bit more switched on with objective control modes, which we're about to go into. So this is obviously going to put them in a 2-1 advantage if they win. But on the flip side, if they then lose this map and it goes 2-1 to Yakuza, they're going to have to play it out on team deathmatch, which they just lost. So I think this is a crucial map to win for your team.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you, but I also think one of the variables is how different the maps actually tend to be. You can definitely say that on the warehouse, it's very flat. There's almost like nothing that can elevate you besides, you know, the spawn location or the little ramps on the left and right hand side when you kind of go within the middle of the map. Other than that, the headshot range is the same throughout. Skyscrapers, on the other hand, is one of the most absolute vertical maps in the entire game. So in a TDM setting, it's not
varied
just
in levels of
yeah,
how high
for sure.
be, right?
But it's not one of those maps where you kind of keep your scope on that level height and it's kind of universal head height. You know, you can't crouch in the game, right? So you kind of keep your cursor, especially as it's a mobile game and it's all done through, you know, finger control and stuff like that. You can kind of keep your reticule on that one angle, and if someone's head kind of goes within it, then you kind of hit it by default. On skyscrapers, you got to watch so much more out about, you know, whether you go down or up. We haven't even reached that point
yet. Accuracy is tested, right? But that's the thing. Because we're now going into a third map at a 1-1, we're guaranteed to see it eventually. But we are going into Paradise Island. You mentioned that the control of the objective and almost the ability to deny your opponents the means to get out of spawn is important, but it takes a lot of prep to kind of solidify that kind of foothold. So you want to do that earlier the better, if you can.
You need to get a particularly strong team fight, I think. You know, if they're kind of trickling the respawns, there's always going to be a fight taking place somewhere at the front of the map. So if you can get like a good, four-man wipe. In that setting, you know they're all going to spawn at a set time.
Okay, now the question is,
this is a brawl right now.
I mean, we're very tied neck and neck at the moment. There's a double kill coming out. Romeo, and you do well for himself, but walks straight into a grenade, gets taken down from a distance by Private Andre. Barracuda coming through strong. I love that decision from Lord Mano. He can see that Private Andre just got a Barracuda kill, so he knows he's likely to have the sniper rifle out. So he just rushes around with a Porcupine, trying to get him from point blank. If you get caught that close with a sniper rifle and you do not have your quick switch ready to go to, you will die immediately.
Absolutely, and also when you're kind of within that effective range of a sniper rifle, sometimes there's wind-up time. You kind of use the strategy of, you kind of, as a high-level player, will remember the wind-up time in your head, and you would never want to be within someone's line of sight that long. Really cause the charge to take longer than it needs to. That said, Yakuza, they're doing well. They're trying to control the spawn, but that unfortunately was actually kind of what not to do. Running into the spawn protection and just dying for free.
I mean, you have to play around the invincibility. You have to find that perfect distance. If you want to keep people trapped in the spawn area, you want to make sure you're at the right distance. You want to make sure that you're timing right on the spawn protection. Like, every player has that timer at the top of the screen. You know how long spawn protection is. You're going to have the inkling as to when it's going to be wearing out, but Expert finds himself getting a nice kill.
Oh, the combo!
Oh, no, that was Private Andre managed to take that one out, though.
It looked like a combo between Expert and Privet, actually. They kind of almost got that two-piece combo, but the final kill going to Privet Andre, giving him a killing spree. That's excellent news, because we've talked about it so many times, and it's never going to not be important. The fact that you get the headshots, the grenade kills, the doubles, the triples, the killing sprees, they all add up towards the final point count so significantly more than individual kills by themselves.
So it looks like Triada, they are in the lead again on the objective mode, but not quite as dominantly, but a lead nonetheless. As Magi coming through now, Expert tries to get that return kill. He's going to actually be able to, but Lord Mano coming through, gets himself a double kill, playing Rin around the Rosie with that middle objective again. We saw that last time, and we'll see it again as Romeo getting that Porcupine headshot nonetheless. A double kill of his own. Might have brought Yakuza back into this one, but no, he dies as well.
They really can't lose these fights. They have to get so many of them on return, but as long as these headshots come through, it's going to be wonderful news for Triada. Those point-blank Porcupines, if you get a headshot, I mean, they do enough damage by themselves. Chuck a headshot into the mix and you are dead.
Okay, this could be a good opportunity, though, for Yakuza. They now have control over the objective, but oh no, taking so much damage, but a triple kill will do a nice amount of points back as that lead between them, the distance separating them, has massively decreased.
Oh, but a wonderful grenade doing damage to so many people at once. You look like Yakuza had a nice amount of control in the middle of the map. They can maybe start pushing out, maybe trying to establish those wonderful angles, but that excellently placed grenade is going to put them so far back. And Triada now just over 100 points left to go. This surely is their map to lose.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's a dominant lead for sure, but all it will take is one fight to turn sour. And just as I can say that Magi finds himself alone on the point, capturing it for Yakuza. But no, here comes the cavalry. They come in force.
They absolutely pincered him. Two people from two different angles, guaranteed death right there. 10 more good to go. This should be almost completely free at this
stage. I think
at
this point, there's almost nothing they can do, because it's basically going to be like almost like a 10-kill game for Yakuza before Triada get one. And if they want a health items, that's going to be enough as they find themselves in the open, and a headshot is a perfect way to finish that off. And I think that's an interesting point in terms of how hard it is to make certain comebacks, because you'll find yourself in a situation a lot, right, where a team will have a commanding lead and you'll be thinking to yourself, is there any way they can come back from this? Normally, you might say, I mean, yeah, sure, why not? But because you only have a certain amount of health items per life, you only have a certain amount of grenades, it really is the health items, though. Once you've used all your health items, your ability to survive is so much cut down, right? Because people just... The weapons do so much damage, especially when you're this accurate at this point of competition. You run out of health items, you effectively have to just be super careful and not put yourself in that situation. So comebacks are so much more difficult.
But I feel like sometimes as well, to not put yourself in that situation requires you not being within a range to really do anything. You know, I think that's what it really comes down to. If you're going to get those Porcupine kills, you got to be within Porcupine range. If you're within your range, then you are certainly within theirs. And the same thing really applies for every weapon type. You know, if you're within assault rifle range, someone else can shoot you. If you're within sniper range, someone else can snipe you. So the level of care you have to play is almost like too high for the risks you have to take to just stay in the fight. You've got to pray they miss, pray they go for someone else, maybe try and have some teammates body blocking, but if they do the same thing, they're taking damage as well. That said, Triada looking very comfortable in the King of the Hill, but Skyscrapers is such a pivotal map. We've seen this point many, many times before, and it is one of the more unique. I mean, I would go as far as to say that I feel like Skyscrapers is almost like the most unique team deathmatch map because of how many different heights and angles there are to hit.
I would say so. I think an important thing to remember, though, is if we now go back to, obviously, Triada, they've won both objectives. now if Yakuza win both TDMs, if they're going to be kind of trading maps for that, it's going to be in Triada's favor. Because obviously the final map is going to be I believe it's going to be King of the Hill. Yeah, it's going to be Saloon.
Wild West.
But the thing is, the team deathmatch that Yakuza did win was still pretty close. Whereas the objective games have been pretty much nowhere near as such. So I think I definitely am a bit more of a believer that Triada can go for the team deathmatch win a bit more than I think perhaps Yakuza can go for the objective mode win. But at the same time, it might still go either way. I guess we have to wait and see how they play this.
Well, no maps have been complete destruction. You know, I think that's one thing to really remember here, is that nothing has been complete domination. I think this is kind of what we expected to see, given the fact that these teams have reached this part of the tournament already. They're playing super well. This is the final lifeline for these guys. Neither of these teams are in the grand finals. You know, we're going to be coming to that.
I mean, this is just money, right? This is just a winning team goes home with money, or stays at home and wins money. Losing team gets nothing, which is unfortunate, but there'll be more cups, there'll be more opportunities, so obviously it's not going to be the end of the world, but obviously you don't want to come this far and then be the last person to walk away empty-handed, right?
We mentioned this last time. I feel like in some ways this is the worst place to place. Getting
Probably.
fourth, being the team that was good enough to reach this part of the competition, but not quite enough to get the money for the broadcast is like, it's so bittersweet that you have what it takes to reach this level of competition. And seeing as, the cash is nice, but always going to bring up the fact that the European Invitational is where it's at in this part of the world, of which points matter. The weekly competition these guys are going to be taking part in. This is really, what matters the most is getting the points. So if you get fourth place, you at least will understand that you're a good enough team to place highly in tournament, and it's placing highly in tournament that gives you the points. But it's just the highest place that gives you the money. But I think that way, it's still stuff to reflect on. As a team, you have what it takes to be that level, but not quite the highest caliber. But you have lots of information. You can watch the VODs back. You can talk to yourself as a team. These guys, there's no way they're not in comms. They're using some sort of communication program because you have to at this level of competition. So they're going to have these little chinwag sessions of, right guys, how do we improve for the next cup? There's one next week. Let's try and step up our game even harder.
Now, you have plenty of time to do that in between tournaments, but you don't have quite as much time to do that in between tournament matches, as we're about to go into what could be the final map of this third place playoff. In Skyscrapers Team Deathmatch, Triada lead in the series 2-1. If they can win this, they will be going home with third place and a small portion of the prize money. But if Yakuza win, we're going to be going to a fifth map, and it will be evened out at 2-2.
It will be one of the first times we've seen that fifth map situation. Very rarely do maps go, or series go, as close. That said, Yakuza with quite a wonderful start.
Almost like best case scenario, really. If they do manage to get a clean wipe, but Expert going to be the first one to get a kill back for 4 with that blade.
That would have been much better if it looking at the points kind of suggests that yes, they got a team wipe, but it was like, one kill each. Almost no one got a combo. Early combos, they give you such a nice chunk of points, 100 in the blink of an eye.
Oh, wow. That's going to be a nice couple of porcupine kills as well. So definitely an even start to this.
The surprise attack. And every time you get a butcher, you're going to get a nice little chunk. Oh, point blank headshot. Ceslo. Bullshit goes down. But I feel like Deadly should be able to clean house. Romeo turns around at the last minute. It's not going to be enough. Caught off guard by Andre. Deadly taking a kill of his own as well. We can see a group fight taking place in the middle of the map. Deadly trying to really outlast a little bit, but unfortunately, even after he'd popped the health, he was so weak there really wasn't much he could do. The long-range sniper's coming out now, but the surprise attack. Unfortunately, Romeo can't land a single one. That could have been at least one kill.
Now we are almost completely deadlocked in this point territory. It looks like Triada. We said before, Skyscraper, that kind of middle building is a huge point of contention, but Lord Mano managing to take out Expert. Just walked around the corner into the entire team. I thought for sure he was going to get taken down instantly, but wasn't meant to be. We can see Private Andre trying to go for that Barracuda kill from a distance.
He's stuck in his scope, so yeah, he was stuck in his scope, so he wasn't really able to stop that sneak attack from taking place. I feel like the second he was clocked, he was already dead, guaranteed, because you can't see him coming. How do you defend against it?
Okay, now looks like Yakuza, they still lead, and by a slight degree, so definitely a lead nonetheless. The question is, how long can they keep it? Because it looks like almost the entire fighting is just taken down in the middle of this map here.
Oh, wow. What a wonderful sequence. That must have been many headshots.
Oh, Expert trying to go for the sneak attack. Manages to get one, Deadly gets the other, but Deadly gets taken down instantly, but that's a nice 3-for-1 trade. That single fight has put Triada back into it, but Expert loses a lot of health to that grenade. Oh no, was that a fumble grenade toss?
Looked like he hit the wall.
Oh no.
Might have done a little bit of damage to himself. Punished accordingly by Yakuza. Who now... Oh my word, this is so close, Mustard.
It is indeed. Oh no, hunts him around the corner. I think Deadly tried to sneak around there just to get some health back, but wasn't allowed to do so.
Remember guys, this is first to 500. So we are nearing the end of this map. Just hit that 2-minute mark as well.
Oh, there's the killing spree. One of the first additional multi-kills of the night.
Oh no! Migat was in such a great position to try and get something going. Seems like he fumbles it a little bit. You can see just how careful these guys are being. But the grouping by Yakuza, it's really impressive now.
Okay,
they know they have the lead, so let's try and force trades, stay together. If we lose one, we'll guarantee trade it.
I feel like the map has really just kind of slipped away from Triada. They went from being even so much of the game, but now it's practically a 100-point limit. As now Yakuza grouping together, but no, walks face first into a frag grenade. Ouch! That might do enough, as now Yakuza are 21 points away from tying the series up at 2-2. Triada, they have over 100 points left to go. I don't know if we can see them do it at this point. They're going to have an amazing sequence, and they only have a minute
here come
left
the grenades. Here come the grenade tosses.
Ooh.
They have so many left. I mean, one kill really is going to do it at this point. Triada can't give up a single thing, but they're starting to group. This could be game over, and it will be indeed. You did mention that Yakuza seems stronger in the TDMs, and it seems like you were completely right. We're going down to a final map, and it's going to be the Wild West to find out which one of these teams. It's almost like fitting, right? To find out which of these teams take home the money.
In the Wild West.
We're going to go for a showdown. I wonder if that was like almost deliberate.
These crazy gunslingers.
Well, either way, I actually think I'm really happy for Yakuza to show that they can still, I think, step up in this game mode. It kind of shows, I think this is definitely, at least in this series, TDM is their bread and butter. But unfortunately for them, you did mention that, Triada, they have control over these objective modes. That's the only map that we have left. This skyscraper map was the last time we're going to see TDM. So if Yakuza can only play well on Team Deathmatch versus Triada, I don't think this last map favors them at all. But what they will have is the momentum, which is, I think, underratedly important at this level of competition.
But again, it does seem to be that the Team Deathmatches were definitely not as dominant as the objective modes were. So it kind of goes back to me saying that even though it's 2-2, I'm still kind of looking at Triada to take this one, because their objective control has been a lot more convincing than Yakuza's TDM wins. Because obviously wins are wins and it's great, but the ways they went down was a bit better for Triada in the map that they won in the set so far.
So taking a look at, I guess, for the final time in this third place playoff. I was going to say losers finals. I don't know why. I've been watching too many fighting games this weekend. But as looking at the rotation, we've had a nice variety, I think, of just different modes and different maps. And I think it's quite fitting. This is why we kind of, at this level of play, when we're trying to find out which one of these teams takes home, the money, basically, within this top 3 situation. You have such variety here. It's really going to show in a long series which team truly is the best. If it was a best of 3, and it was just 2 team deathmatch maps, it would have been a 2-0 to Yakuza. If it was a best of 3 with, King of the Hill control points, it would have been a 2-0 to Triada.
I feel like even though, because obviously, for this show, the teams are basically just playing for money. And it is a decent amount of money, so it's still worth putting in 150%. However, this can be great data. So let's say, hypothetically, that Triada win this 3-2. Even though Yakuza are technically the team that lost the series, they will then have that glaringly obvious issue of, okay, boys, we need to get better at this part of the game, right? We're fine at TDM, we need to work on control, we need to work on King of the Hill. And what amazing data to have moving into the weeklies where you are qualifying for the Katowice Invitational, right? The European Invitational. Even if you lose in this kind of cup, that is useful for you as a team because you understand where you need to work on, you have the VODs to watch, to study, and you can work on it from there.
So here we go. This is going to be our final map in this third place playoff between Yakuza and Triada. This is to decide who takes home the money and who is going to just fall short. The experience is important, but to be honest, when it's one map deciding who takes it, you're going to want to take it.
I mean, 5 minutes, right? Both teams have 5 minutes to realize who's going to win this series after such a back and forth, such a grueling 5-map series between them. Only a couple of minutes basically separate them between winning some money or winning nothing at all.
The quadra kill, by the way, from XLN. Look at that. And because of that quadra kill, Yakuza now have the lead. I wonder if that's going to be...
He's got 92. That's the vast majority of his entire team.
You wonder if that's going to be the catalyst. You know, XLN, he's been kind of like that unsung hero of this team throughout the series. He's been playing so well every map, regardless of mode.
Okay, now this is hugely important for Yakuza. They have historically struggled to win, to get the control.
Another double. And a killing spree from Romeo. So even though the double kill came through, Yakuza's still in the lead because of it.
Point A is under
Actually, this
attack.
has been an amazing turnaround. You know, Yakuza, they have been struggling to kind of establish dominance in the objective mode so far, but now they find themselves quite considerably in the lead. But here's a fight going on the point. Now, can they win this? It's going to be crucial that they do. Private Andre had the high ground, but no! Got taken down by Lord Mano.
That's really unfortunate. He has been surprised again. Can he win the 1v1? No, he can't. Offshit manages to take it. XNL with a triple kill. That wasn't his first little combo.
I mean, he really is being a star performer.
Look at the points, 181, and we've only just started.
86. It's climbing up more and more. Lord Mano finds himself a nice kill. The Odin doing quite a lot of work today, I think, the Odin. We saw a lot more Juggernaut last time, but now
Gets
the
the grenade off just at the right time as he goes down, but at no cost. He just drops the grenade and gets the damage. He has the last laugh at the end of the day. Checking out Robovchik here, see if he can get the job done, but I'm really concerned at this point. I think Yakuza, we mentioned momentum, and I think the momentum is exactly what they're using to maybe take this final map.
I mean, this is such an impressive turnaround, you know, for them to do this well, and this isn't even a convincing lead. This is a dominant lead from Yakuza. They're winning all the fights. They have absolute control, and it seems that Triada are just not playing quite as coordinated as we saw before them.
I mean, there's the potential that the pressure of the situation might be getting to them. This has been a long and hard-fought battle, but as we reach that 1,000 limit, I feel like Yakuza, they just have so much control right now. And the group kills too. You know, these team fights. XOL getting another kill and another one. Back to back. Oh, the star performer, you know, the man of the hour.
Okay, I like he scouts out the grenade, being careful hiding behind the piano. Oh, he goes in for the ambush. Gunslinger gets one kill, but gets taken down immediately. We're trading out now. We are only a handful of points away, and that's going to be it. Yakuza are able to win the third place playoff, find themselves a little bit of cash, and win the first objective mode of this series.
How about that? I mean, we talked endlessly about how TDM was their strongest mode, and how we were worried that it wasn't TDM to finish things off. But who wasn't worried? Yakuza. These guys came to play. They managed to get their third place spot. Unfortunately, you won't see them in the grand finals because this was just to decide who got third. But I feel like, that said, this situation is a situation that as a team and a squad, you've got to get used to. You absolutely need to be prepared. And these guys are now going to go into future tournaments and future cups, off stream or on stream, knowing they've been on the back foot of a long series and they've come out on top before, and they can definitely do it again.
However, we are not going to be going for a break between our grand finals. We are wasting no time and getting straight underway. The third place playoff is finished. We have the most important match of the day to get underway, and that's going to be our grand finals with some familiar faces.
Knights of Honor and back to back. These are two of the stronger teams in this part of the world. Absolutely, Knights of Honor being the team to watch. I really would be paying the most attention to them in the grand finals. They were able to take the crown in our last Go4, and they're looking to try and do the exact same thing for 2 cups in a row. Currently sitting in our invitational leaderboards as the #1 team. They have the highest spot so far. The most dangerous team in this part of the world. If they can take this tournament back to back, then I mean, the accolades will go on, won't they?
The crazy thing is Knights of Honor 1, particularly, obviously we keep saying Knights of Honor 1 because this is basically a clan. Knights of Honor are a clan within the game, and they have multiple teams that compete. Knights of Honor 1, Knights of Honor 2. But Knights of Honor 1 definitely seems to be the dominant force of the two. Obviously, Knights of Honor 2 we saw in Grand Finals last week, so obviously not to take anything away from it.
It was a team kill.
But Knights of Honor 1 are the most consistent team, and they are hard #1 in the European Invitational leaderboards. However, the Go4 leaderboards going into this cup, which is obviously the leaderboard that got the teams into this broadcast, they are 3rd place, if memory serves. So they actually haven't been quite as dominant specifically in the last 2 weeks. However, looking at how they've played today, will back-to-back be the team to take them out, or will they keep the momentum we've seen from them today going and win their 2nd broadcast in a row?
There's always the chance that when the stream is on and the chips are down, the #1 team will kind of, reclaim their stature. And the question's going to be, is the pressure going to be too much for back-to-back? Knights of Honor have already shown us that at this level of play, they can win it big and they can take the crown. Back-to-back, the ball is going to be in their court to show that they can keep up.
But they're doing a good job so far, as they have a slight lead. Oh no, just so I can say that they've lost it by literally 2 points. Ignore me, never mind. However, now going to manage to get it back thanks to a kill started by John Wick, and then Miggs getting one of his own.
And it's all coming down to control. In control points, you really need to make sure you've got that at least 2 lead. 2 control points captured, and I feel like they're doing a nice job being able to show that. Looking to be kind of difficult, actually, I think, for Knights of Honor to kind of crack that armor so far. I mean, look at the amount of blue that is on this map.
Yes, indeed. And this is control. I said before, this is the only time that control will be in this map rotation. So if you can really establish some dominance on it, now is the time to do so. Oh, wow, that point-blank grenade.
That
what a
was a
throw.
Surgical grenade toss.
And a headshot, too. Wait, did he have that? Was that a sniper rifle headshot? Oh, no, it was a porcupine. But still, point-blank grenade from that kind of distance. Amazing throw.
The enemy captured point
T-Mac
C.
drops as well. Looks like a steady lead for back-to-back so far. Oh, do well with the killing spree. That's going to be a nice chunk of points. Unfortunately, at this level, I don't think it's going to be enough.
No, and there's a double kill coming through himself. I think this is quite quickly running away from Knights of Honor. However, only a 70-point difference, to be honest. 60 points, I should say.
It is a climb, and it is a comeback. T-Mac has got a nice little couple of instances there where he's been able to turn things around. This is not a significant difference for back-to-back anymore. For the Knights of Honor, they need to be super careful. You can't be too aggressive.
That was actually an amazing kill from T-Mac. He started that fight without armor against someone that had it, and he was able to get the 1v1. Very
Killing
impressive.
spree has put them in the lead. Just want to put that out there.
And it's T-Mac. T-Mac really is one of the strongest players on this team, absolutely. So consistently impressive across all maps, across all modes. Just very switched on player. Well, when you're on the back foot, the question's always going to be, as a team, how do you recover? Just because you're losing at this point in time does not mean the loss is guaranteed. Up until, very specific circumstances later. Killing Machine gets a kill. That's going to be excellent, but it is returned immediately by Johnny. And here's that team play coming through. We can see Knights of Honor, they're all here in force. Oh no, John Wick waiting around the hay bale. Amazing stuff. I actually feel like that was quite a canon thing to say.
John Wick with the assassination, what?
I know what you're talking about. What a huge surprise.
Well, that said, only a few more points now. Knights of Honor just short of 300.
I mean, they've really kind of established, not only have they brought this back, but that lead is getting bigger and bigger the longer this map goes on.
I would definitely be inclined to agree with you. And it goes down, Gianni with a double. That's going to do good things for them as well.
And now he's staying on the point.
Look at the control. I mean, like, just obviously less than 5 minutes ago, but we saw so much of the blue controlled in the center of this map. And now whenever we go to the spectator angle, both of these points are taken by Knights of Honor. I feel like these are the 2 points you want to hold.
Oh, John Wick getting ambushed from the point. T-Mac. Oh, but Killing Machine runs in. The brutal kill. Can he get it? Oh, they trade the kill out. But it is going to go towards back-to-back, it seems, as they're going through. But no! Conor McGregor takes them both down and sieges the point back. And that will secure the first map in the favor of Knights of Honor after, to be honest, the start of that map was definitely not in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the entire first half kind of escaped them. They kind of slipped from their fingers a little bit, but I feel like just through solid play, some really crucial moments actually. We saw some good combos, doubles, triples, even a killing spree coming forward, and the reward you get from that is super significant. And then I think when you combine those group fights that go really well to specific people, T-Mac really was a beast in that map. You combine those situations where, right, we've got a group kill here, and while they're respawning, the other team can do nothing about us taking B or taking C. If we're near a location and they've all gone down, that's a guaranteed take for us. All we have to do now is heal back up or try and, avoid minimal damage, and then maintain that control, and then continue to get the good kills, get the good fights, and then the natural kind of points is what really allowed Knights of Honor to win. They didn't even win by a kill by the end there. They just won by holding more points than the other team.
Okay, so moving into the second map, we're going to be going back into the military warehouse. And to be honest, I definitely favor Knights of Honor on Team Deathmatch. I think they are some of the strongest players in terms of combat skill and, knowledge on how to win those fights. And going into Team Deathmatch, I think that's just the perfect kind of map for them to play in, especially if T-Mac is having a good game, as he seems to be a consistent, strong player across all maps. But one of the things that really sets him apart, I think, is his accuracy. And not only is this now good for that as a game mode, but Military Warehouse, for a player like him, I can imagine is a bit of a playground.
I think it naturally will be, because all you've just got to do is be consistent with your aim on a flat map. We've talked about this before, but height, I think it plays a big part in your ability to get frags. And it's just general awareness. If you're kind of used to just keeping your reticule on a certain level when people come around corners, of which ambushing people around corners is very popular on the warehouse because there are a lot of hard angles to pick. Fresh out the spawn, you've got almost unlimited vision on the other team. The second they've come out of their spawn, they are within your firing line. So if you're super quick, the start of the map will be different. Sometimes teams like to prefer splitting up and they go for 2 each side. Sometimes, a team will just pile in all 4. And I think it's really useful. If grenades are super popular, of which they will be, forcing people to pick out multiple targets can be very difficult in a higher level of play, because everyone has a pretty chunky hitbox on them. If you're sticking together and someone's not throwing a grenade or they're going for like a sniper shot, hitting the same target consistently when there's so many people around is actually kind of difficult to do.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, at this level of play, you can even take difficulty into it, because it's something said that, just because a shot is hard to make or, a certain grenade is hard to throw at a certain angle, these are the kind of players that, especially in grand finals, are going to be used to that. Especially considering, a number of these players, competitive Guns of Boom at this scale might be quite new, but these guys have been playing this game since it first came out. So, they themselves already have quite a number of hours under their belt. So these difficult shots, and a nice double kill with a grenade to start things off. That's not too bad at all.
One grenade's going to bag you 58 points. How about that?
Greatest tap of his life on the screen.
Absolutely.
There we go. Finds himself actually a bit in the open. Yeah, he got absolutely annihilated by Migs and Gonza.
Now we can see Gonza really trying to pick that angle. It's a very common strategy on this map. You can have a lot of vision, I think, from deceiving ranges.
Oh, yeah, the ambush! Nearly took out Migs. That was an amazing assist from his teammate from the side. I believe it was Killing Machine that was there to help him.
I felt like Jaeger was so tunnel visioned into getting that kill, he wasn't ready for someone jumping on his head. That's exactly what happened.
But a very, very back and forth game right now as Dobar going to get a kill on Gonza. Oh, but another double kill. Wow.
Come on, calm down. These grenades, my word.
I see Dejani, he's just being really careful here. Let's not run out while he's regenerating health.
Oh, tries to lay the ambush, but it looks like it's him that runs into that freight train.
Oh no, missed the grenade.
Yeah, that was a bit of a fumble. Glad we caught that on Spectator.
Oh no. But John Wick finds himself quite low, trying to heal up though. He's going to get back to full soon. But to us, it looks like even full health, it's the lacking of armor that's really dangerous because you just have so much life. And Gonz with a wonderful kill on the Barracuda. Great shot from a distance.
The Killing Machine is killing spree. Not before it was ended by T-Mac, but they did put them... I was about to say, it almost tied things up, but right as you can say that, one good grenade and instantly the lead, it escapes them again. It just shows how consistently you have to play well. There's no room for error at this stage of competition.
There's that T-Mac getting a kill, John Wick also. Now remember, this is that 500-point limit. T-Mac getting a kill on John Wick. Oh no, he's completely surrounded his Jaeger. He just walked into the wrong side of that, but at least before he died, is able to kill Killing Machine to trade out the kill nonetheless. And now, Knights of Honor, they're starting to get quite a stronger lead now as we approach that 500 points. They're only about 150, just under left to go.
I think in this situation, picking the right target at the right time is so difficult. You have that split second, do I go left or do I go right? In that situation, he really should have funneled towards the respawn door, because the second that was cleared, he would have been really open season to get the surprise attack. Unfortunately, haven't got that long to reflect on those decisions, but back-to-back, in a short space of time, they've been able to somewhat bring things back into this fight. Unfortunately, the lead is consistently just further ahead, but if back-to-back get a good kill now, which they don't, it escapes them for another time.
That could have been a huge change of pace if back-to-back were able to get that double kill instead, but no, they lost both kills themselves. Knights of Honor, we know they have 2 people now without armor. That could come back to hurt them as Killing Machine and Migs are both going to get kills, and now we're back to being almost completely even. No, back-to-back have taken the lead.
Killing Machine, he's super weak. He's having to get out of there, but this could be the last minute turnaround, and now they're going to huddle together. They're going to force the trade situation, but you can see the rest, Knights of Honor, they're starting to regroup. They're trying to get their strength back. They don't have long. One group fight goes bad here, I feel like it's game over.
T-Mac is leading the charge. He gets a kill onto John Wick, but Gonz is going to take him down from a distance. Dobar getting a long-range grenade, and Dobar getting a double kill. This might be enough to end. Oh, he's going to get a triple, huge point injection, and that has put Knights of Honor straight back into the lead.
He has to watch out. He can't push too hard. Jaeger in a bad situation, but gets the kill, but not before he's going to go down himself, pushing a little bit too far ahead. That's not good news. Back to back, they just need a couple. This could be enough.
I'm not sure. They have to be really careful. T-Mac finds himself at distance PS. Oh, the grenade comes through. They miss. Killing Machine is low. Does he chase this? John Wick from distance. T-Mac trying to run away to keep himself alive, but Dobar, he gets another grenade kill. So many grenades.
How many amazing grenades did Dobar get in that entire map?
I mean, enough.
I'm not even going to say Dobar was the MVP. Dobar's grenade was the MVP.
I mean, technically, that's still him, right? He threw it. He was the controlling, the mastermind behind it. However, I mean...
He held the puppet strings.
Indeed, but at the same time, like, you have to commend that kind of play, right? Because not only was he so on point with being able to know when to throw the grenade, it's accuracy, right? You can't just, fire and forget. You can't just throw and hope for the best. When you have that many consistent game-changing grenades, you are on point. And
we see it here.
That the proof is in the result. That was an amazing turnaround.
And it was also grouping. I think early on, unfortunate grouping can be quite common, especially in these situations. Like right there,
like case in point.
Because you can't stick together. I feel like actually grouping together like this, I feel like it's a mistake because yes, not everyone, whenever you play this game normally, not everyone you fight is going to have health items. Maybe they don't have grenades. Maybe they don't have as much of them. Maybe they've spent their currency on other things. Maybe they've, prioritized upgrades or new weapons. In tournament, you know that everyone is going to have everything. So with that in mind, why would you group together? Why would you almost feed into the hand? Let's stick together. So if someone gets a grenade, they're going to get a double kill, which is just going to give them one grenade 60 points. You can't take that risk.
But at the same time, if you are grouped together, your damage output is amplified to an insane degree, right? If you're grouped as a 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, and you've got 4 porcupines running in a massive group all aiming at the same target, that is a dead
4 porcupines running in a massive group.
Exactly, but that's an amazing source of damage output. If you're running around as a group and you're taking people down one at a time, as fast as you see them, because at this point of play, players are basically running around with very similar weapon loadouts.
Identical, right? Everyone has it.
I don't think we've seen a shotgun that isn't the Porcupine today. I think we've seen a couple of Thanatos users, but primarily been Barracuda. Assault Rifle has really been Juggernaut or Odin, and that's kind of been really it. And, heavy machine guns we just don't really see at all. So that if someone's running around as a group, it's going to be the Porcupine you have to worry about. If people are grouping, what's your answer to that? Grenades. That's what they're there for. If people are going to group up because they want the enhanced damage, that's where the grenades come into play. You have to be able to play around that.
Now, unfortunately for back-to-back, although they've played really well to reach this point, they really have, by being 2-0 down, they're in a difficult position now where they have no choice but to make a 3 straight map comeback. Is that even possible, Mustard?
It depends on how they play this, because honestly, this is one of those maps that can quickly get away from you. Paradise Island is obviously king of the hill map, but very snowball heavy. If you can control it early and really kind of keep the enemy team towards their spawn area, that's where you can really start to build a huge amount of pressure and presence on the map.
I would definitely go as far to say that Paradise Island favors the more aggressive team. If you can keep these guys locked down, keep them within their spawn, it's hard to come back from. But as I said before, it's not the easiest strategy to adopt because, you're one hair's length out of position. You fall to the spawn protection. So back-to-back, they have the lead, as we have seen in the grand finals. It doesn't mean a huge amount to have a small lead. You really need to be significant with it. And we're going to see a back and forth, I think. The tipping point's going to be who gets the combos, who gets the killing spree, who holds the point for the longest.
Okay, now it looks like quite even maps at this point. I mean, this is kind of how a lot of the maps are going down, right? It is quite back and forth, quite even, but there's been key turning points in the match where Knights of Honor have just found their way to just really bring that lead through, but it really is up to back-to-back to stop that from happening. They really have to kind of plug that problem. It's almost like they run out of steam. Back-to-back just can't seem to quite keep up. As soon as there's that kind of turning point that Knights of Honor really ramp it up speed-wise, it looks like back-to-back kind of universally struggle to keep up, but this map is a different story, it seems.
T-Mac gets completely surprised, but Migs, nice awareness, unfortunately walks right into that one.
Oh, wow. That was a really nice shot on the Barracuda to save Killing Machine. Jaeger getting that distance shot of his own.
No one holding the point currently. Taking the fight elsewhere. Nice grenade. Weakens John Wick significantly.
Ooh.
And look at the triple from this team. And now they have almost taking things back.
Okay, this is exactly what you need to see when you control the point and can then control the opponents from coming in. But it looks like that's actually completely failed for them as back-to-back just come steamrolling through towards the point. And now they have control of the objective. Dejani trying to come from behind, but no, he doesn't know that Gonza was right behind him.
That was really well played by Gonza. Gonza knew that he was sneaking up on Gianni, and he didn't prematurely fire because it would have given his position away. He let himself remain undetected and then took the shot when it was a guaranteed surprise kill. Very well placed. But the triple kill, actually, as I've even said that, a triple kill coming out from Knights of Honor, that's keeping them in this fight.
Okay, John Wick managing to solo capture the point, and we can see Killing Machine pushing forward to try and keep him in. Oh, and Gonza, this is exactly what the team needs to do. You can see them, they capture and they try and establish that forward position to catch them as they come out of spawn. It seems hard to do so as Jaeger coming from behind. Now, even though back-to-back are in the lead, this could very quickly turn around if Knights of Honor have a good series.
Looking at the point difference, about 101. Good group fight is going to turn the tide. Jaeger just trying to really dodge Gonza, who's going in for the sniper shot, but I feel like he's going to run into the belly of the beast there. Gonza gets a grenade from behind, and it's going to guarantee that kill, but a very small difference. It's going to be a close one. Is it going to be a 3-0, or are we going into an extra map?
We're a couple of minutes away from finding out as John Wick gets another kill on Gianni. See that T-Mac is once again doing really strong, but Jaeger, of course, now finds himself with a huge amount of his points. There's the ambush. Killing Machine was waiting, sprung the trap.
But T-Mac gets a killing spree. The killing spree has kept them in the lead by a hair's length.
Oh, Killing Machine is so low, he's trying to heal up by a fear that it might not be enough. He's going to be able to take out Gianni, though, at the very least.
They need a good fight, and they need it right now. Jaeger, this could be the catalyst. They get one. Can he get two? Looks like it will be no! He doesn't survive. He misses the clutch shot.
Both teams are so close to the end now. 1,000 points is the limit.
But wait,
they're rapidly approaching it.
They hold the point. The holding the point might be enough in this situation. Misses the grenade. Gianni, can he get two? He does indeed. The final group fight comes through, but is it enough to go? Killing Machine drops, and it's going to be Knights of Honor. They had to fight for that final one, but with the 3-0 in grand finals, remain the top dogs in the Go4 Cup.
That's quite a statement. That is quite a statement. To not only win both broadcasts, and of course, both times winning first place and the prize money that comes with it. Congratulations, gentlemen. I hope you enjoy. But to do so with a 3-0 this time.
2,000 euros.
That's twice.
Oh!
Is that, no, that's 1,000 euros.
It's 1,000 times, yeah.
So how much is that each? It's like 500 euros each, right?
Okay, it depends on how they distribute it. I'm not gonna challenge that. But very much congratulations. These guys played out of their minds, and it was sheer dominance. I'll be honest, I actually expected this to be a bit closer because of our, we looked at our point results before we went into this Go4, and, Knights of Honor, they weren't the absolute, undisputed #1 going into this cup, but in the cup itself, when the chips are down and the stream is live, they brought their A game for another time.
So I think it's fair to say that we're really understanding why Knights of Honor #1 are at the top of the European Invitational leaderboards with this kind of performance and this kind of showing when the chips are down and it really matters. To be able to bring their A game time after time and now win again in even more dominant fashion, that is why they are there. But to remember, you guys and girls at home can get involved as well. If you think you can take these teams down, get signing up yourselves in these free-to-enter weekly cups, and you might even find yourselves on the broadcast, or better yet, as one of the teams invited to the European Invitationals later in Katowice. But that does, I do believe, that is where we are basically at the end for the European side of the broadcast.
That's the key word. We've got the bracket for you guys one last time to really have a nice little look at what the journey has been. We started with 8 teams, and then there were only 2 back-to-back, and Knights of Honor in the grand finals, but with a swift 3-0. Knights of Honor remain the team to beat in this part of the world. They're going to be feeling very good about themselves as we ramp up closer and closer to the European Invitational. But that said, that's all we have time for in the European side of the world. We're going to go for a break, set up our North American bracket, and the Guns of Boom Go4 finals will continue. So thank you for watching. See you in, well, momentarily, really. We have to prepare and get our North American players in. So after this break, we're going to be back, and we'll see you very soon.